Welcome back to Pole Barn Garage, where today we are going to fix this and try to drive it home 1,500 miles. What is it? Let's find out. Behold! 68 Mustang Coupe. I have been after one of these for a minute. And by a minute, I mean about 5 years. I used to have one, 67, and I really miss that car. You can see that quite a bit of it is here. Yes. Got a little damage on the right front fender here. No biggie. Very solid car. Cars don't rust out here. Very solid floors. Oh, there's a fender and another wheel. And no seats. Huh, that's a problem. Oh yeah. It is a really nice car though. You don't find them like this in Missouri. That does not happen. Looks like no back window. We'll have to come up with something there. That's what broke it right there. Something fell on it. It's got a headliner.
Oh, a nice one.
It's in really good shape.
Wow.
I'll be damned. Yes, the 68 only door handle. They flip up. This is part of Ford's safety for 68. Was nothing protruding into the passenger compartment. So this flips up, then you open the door. But that way it doesn't stab and embed itself into your knee whenever you get in a wreck. Same with the gigantic blob on the steering wheel. That will keep you alive. I bought it from Steve with Road Hard Restorations.
Hello.
Steve stupidly, volunteered to help me with this. So thanks, Steve. I guess where we should start is just get it in the shop and see what we have to work with, huh? There it goes. Yep. Starboard. Aft, bow, I don't know. Fish, push. This thing's been sitting for what, like 15, 20 years?
Yeah, at least.
We're gonna wash all this authentic barn dust off of it. Pressure washer?
Yeah.
Spoiled adult.
Wow. A door. I mean, come on. I've been thinking about what the plan of attack here should be. There's a little bit of a backstory on the car. Basically, it's like a divorce sale kind of thing. You guys don't know how that goes. They were building the car for somebody, and it just didn't work out right. So that is a brand new 302 from 20 some odd years ago, as well as the C4, and well, pretty much everything. The reason the front end's all out of whack, it's all brand new stuff. It's never been aligned. It's just kind of bolted together, and that's about it. It was originally a 6-cylinder car, which, in case you didn't know, that would mean that it had lighter weight springs, a lighter weight rear end, 4-lug wheels. I mean, pretty much everything, the underpinnings of the car are different. Now it's been converted to a V8. It's a good thing, but because of that, we really need to look at almost everything on the car just to make sure things are like bolted together and tight. First order of business here has got to be, let's figure out if this 302 is any good. It's probably a flat tappet cam. I know how to do this right. You pull it out, you take it apart, re-lube everything and put it back together. We're not going to do that. We're just going to prime her up and send it. I hope it works. Hey Jess, will you look and get something out of the middle of those tires for me, please?
Aw.
Not the reaction I was hoping for.
You have a bin of stuff for the car. You've got some headers here. It's pretty much just going to be cobbled together out of whatever we could find. I brought my own radiator. I guess we should start with drop the oil, throw a new filter on it, get some fresh oil in it, fuel pump, water pump, pulleys, etc. And see how far that gets us. Does it have a starter? It does have a starter. Okay, that's good. Alright, well, we're halfway there then. I know I said we were starting on the engine, but then I had an epiphany to not be stupid for once. The car has no drive shaft, right? Well, Steve has a couple of drive shafts in there. Maybe one of them's from a Mustang. We got to figure that out right now. Because if we don't have one, I can get one made, but it may take a day or two. Is this a power steering car? Yes, it is. Huh. Ice under here. Holy crap.
Wow.
Wow. Wrong yoke.
How about this one?
No. I may have been incorrect that this one didn't fit. You see here, that says C5A whatever. Ford part numbers use a letter that designates the decade that it was made in. C is 1960s. So maybe I did something wrong here. So I just went ahead and lubed up the shaft real good. Gonna go jam it in.
The angle and the dangle.
I'm angling it.
You holding your mouth right?
It does not want to go on there. I don't know why.
I'm wondering if the tail shaft bushing is not seated correctly. Like the little, the bronze bushing that's in the back.
Yeah. I pulled the tail shaft seal out of it and destroyed it in the process. And now the drive shaft goes in. Everything's super dry. And odds are probably we're going to tear that up just hammering something through it. So at least now we can kind of clean up these splines, lube it up, and get this drive shaft installed. Make sure we have the right shaft. I bet she goes now with a little lube. Or not. Oh, there it goes. There, haha!
Ah, I was right.
Well, it is totally the right drive shaft.
I knew it.
So now we just need a tail shaft seal. So we better dig around or get one of those on order, but that is big thing crossed off there. After solving the drive shaft debacle, I placed an order for a new tail shaft seal. Steve actually had a couple of U-joints in stock, so it was back to the engine. We're going to have to follow the flat tap and break-in procedure when we get this started, and that's going to involve holding the car up at 2,500 RPM for about 20 minutes, and the zinc and the oil and all that good stuff. VR1 racing oil, as well as some break-in oil here. Dump all of that in there. There's no such thing as too much zinc. And then we're going to prime it with a gutted distributor that Steve had laying around. I got to drive the gear off of this distributor, and then we can use this to prime the engine, drive the oil pump, and just make sure everything's got a good coating of oil on it. That's the best thing we could do short of remove engine, disassemble engine, relube, and reassemble. It's dry. Okay, well, let me just put this back. Tank filter off of it. Yeah, it's clean. Brand new oil. Well, let's put oil in it, and let's make sure the engine rolls over.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Behold, the racing ZDDP. Okay. Oh, thank God. It was sticky there for a minute.
I do have a gallon of marble mystery oil if you would like to apply it to the cylinder walls.
The plugs are already out of it. It's like God has said, yes, my son, lube them or you'll regret it. What antique store did you get that from? We're going to bottle feed it. Oh, baby. Drink up. I don't know how much to put in there.
You're probably putting a lot. I would only put maybe an ounce, if that.
Oh.
Just a splash.
Hey, it's coming out now.
Yeah, you don't want to hydro lock. As soon as we crank it, it'll be spilling out.
I know, it's going to make a terrible mess. Maybe we just roll her over by hand a little bit and just kind of lube it in there. That way I don't make a complete disaster out of your shop. That's going to happen anyway, though, Steve. How much do I owe you for the cleaning fee? So I've got to knock the cam gear off of this distributor. Distributor does two things. Drives the oil pump with this in the end of it. On a Ford, it's a hex. And it is driven by the cam, by this gear here. This gear spins the distributor and your rotor and direct spark wherever it needs to go. And at the same time, the distributor is driving the oil pump, which is supplying oil, pressurizing and everything, and all the stuff that oil... It does oil pump stuff. What am I don't... It's in the name. What we have to do to make this work is take off the cam gear. That way we can just put this shaft down in there and only drive the oil pump.
I do have a bigger hammer.
You might need it. Yeah. Now let's chuck this on here. We're going to spin away and look for oil to come out of the push tubes. Wait, clockwise? Counterclockwise on Ford. There it goes. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, hey, Steve. Oh, God.
Oil sitting in it?
Yeah. Hey, it's got oil pressure, by God. I have a set of gauges. We're going to need some rags. Hey, put oil dry on the list for tomorrow.
It already is.
Pump works. it works.
It's got a pickup too.
We've
We've established that.
It sure does. Okay, take 2 with gauge. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to roll the engine over, right? We want to determine what the hell it is. Ford used 2 different firing orders. They had the standard 302, which is whatever the Ford's firing order is, Steve.
154-26378.
Exactly. They had an HO firing order, which uses the 351 Windsor's firing order, which is 1, 3, something, something. Basically, 1 goes 1, then 5, 1 goes 1, then 3. So I want to watch for my number 1 intake valve to start opening right now. So number 1 intake valve is opening. The next intake valve that opens should be right there, number 5. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just standard 302, which means it's a flat tappet, which means we need to make sure this thing is buttoned down tight before we fire it up. I utterly despise these distributors. I don't even know why I bought it. Is it even going to clear the hood? Pointing this way, that means we might as well make that guy number 1. So that, yeah, that leaves us, we're good. Jess is scraping off the masking tape off the intake. Now I'm going to put some gaskets on the valve covers, try to scrounge up some bolts for them. We'll have to scrounge up some bolts for a water pump, pulleys, etc. Probably not getting it running today, but we have a distributor, and if we can just kind of get some of our components figured out here, we'll be in good shape. I always put some silicone on one side of the valve cover. Just one, though. I'm going to install the Eldebrock AVS on here. So we got like the trifecta of turd engine here. Chrome painted stock valve covers. We've got the stupid Amazon HEI distributor. We have the silver painted Edelbrock intake from 1978. And we have the Edelbrock carburetor. Fuel pump's on. Some used one you had laying around. We've made a list. We're trying to figure out a pulley system for this thing. Trying to make it out of whatever he has laying around. And what he had laying around was this really, really nice underdrive pulley. Well, Steve is looking around for a bolt for the alternator so we can wrap up our accessories and then know how long of a belt we need to buy. In the meantime, I've been putting a header on it, and maybe even headers plural. We'll see. These are shorties that he had laying around, so I stole them. Drop our gasket in there, bolt it up, and boom, bing, bango. So I think this cable might live a little bit longer, not resting against the header. Maybe we run under the motor mount, then up. Hey, will the audience please settle down?
Peanut gallery.
Pulleys, done. Water pump, done. Headers, done. It only took me like an hour. 1/8 of a turn at a time. Alternator on there. Oh, dipstick. You took care of the dipstick. Yes, sir. Got that. Again, this is the abbreviated list. So yeah, this will be added to, but I think that's good for one day. We got a good idea of what we're dealing with here. I got to buy some stuff tomorrow. But yeah, I think we'll be running tomorrow pretty easily. It is the next morning, and I have gotten my wheels and tires mounted up because that's what I need to be worrying about. They're really nice. I love the US Mag Indy slot. I picked up half a dozen things at O'Reilly this morning that it needs. We're just going to keep plugging away here to assemble it and see if we can make it run. Oh, and throttle linkage. That's going to be a big one. You said you have the V8 throttle linkage?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got it in the box there.
Cool. There we go. Needed a spacer for the alternator, so grabbed a couple of lug nuts out of my go bag here. 2 factory Ford Acorn lug nuts are the perfect spacing for an alternator. For reference, you know, in case you ever need that. Now Steve's working on getting the accelerator pedal linkage out of it. We had to fight that to unbolt it from the firewall because it's not supposed to have a V8 in the way. And we got the fenders that were sitting in it out of the car. Now you can really see how nice this thing really is. What a car. Oh, the spider's back. Oh, you got to pull the whole pedal assembly and everything.
We got to pull the pedal off the rod, and then the whole thing will fish out the top.
Jeez.
Provided we don't have to pull the motor for access.
No, we're not doing that. I'm going to throw some plugs at the thing, get that buttoned up. I plugged some vacuum ports, you know, just piddling away here. I had ordered plugs for a later model engine, which use a tapered seat, 5/8 hex. a 68 302 would have a 13/16 hex and use a crush washer. This is a smog engine of some variety. We don't know what. I don't really care. As long as it goes vroom. That will make me big happy. And these seem to be pre-gapped at about 45 thousandths, which is good enough for me.
Oh, look at that.
Beautiful. We have throttle linkage. We have spark plugs. We're getting closer. So I don't know what you guys could see in here, but there's a fuel line here. And it should go through that hole there. 6-cylinder puts it through this hole here. So I'm basically just going to pull it out of this hole and move it up here. And just run it along the frame, and I'll just run a rubber hose through there. So that way we start a fire and really just takes care of things all in one go. Put some rando plug wires I got at O'Reilly. They're like the Flexolite ones that they have on the shelf. They are very universal, I'll give them that. Let me move this fuel line here. Take off the remnant of the old one down here and pop it through right there where it'll shoot straight ahead into the fuel pump. Our hose is coming through this razor sharp piece of metal, and that is bad. So we're going to use our roll of grommet here and simply create a grommet out of this grommet tape. Don't confuse it for electrical tape. It's completely different. And there you have it. One custom-made grommet. Sometimes I get concerned that I'm actually too smart. Impossible. We even have a shifter now. Steve hooked up the whole shifter linkage and all that kit and caboodle. I got to put the transmission output seal back in. Basically, we're going to pick a giant socket and then wail on it until it goes in. That's pretty much it right there. Then I'll lightly lubricate this with some ATF just to help it go in. New seal driven in there. I gotta change U-joints on that drive shaft, and then we can put that in here and button that side up too. Oh, and transmission lines. Let's put a Chinesium radiator in it so I can continue to ignore the drive shaft. Well, he even left all the bolts in the core support. Theoretically, this will just drop right in, right?
Mm-hmm. Practically installed stuff.
Huh. I mean, no.
Close.
Not even remotely close. Until something better presents itself, we're just going to drill 2 holes in the core support right here, and likewise on the other side, and then just bolt this thing in. Just the top 2 bolts. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. What is that?
This is an old Whitney punch. It's just a hole puncher. Where do you want it? Right there?
Yeah, wherever the hole was. Whoa! Oh, I gotta get one of those. Oh yeah, that's nearly perfection. Oh dude, it fits like a glove.
Nice.
Other than the 45-degree angle, but it's alright. This is one of those really cut-to-fit hoses. You gotta cut 6 inches of it. Let's throw a fan on it. And I bought the world's sketchiest fan. This is what O'Reilly carries now for a flex fan. It's plastic. Like Tupperware plastic.
Not even that good.
I don't like this at all. I mean, I don't think it's gonna break or anything. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Change it as soon as you get home.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. But it was cheap. We were able to scrounge up 3 bolts that fit this fan. And unfortunately, that is gonna upset the feng shui of the car. So we'll be all out of balance now. A lot of negative energy. But I will contact my local psychic on the way home and see if we can get that straightened up. Any good? Oh, dude, it's brand new in there. Steve's going to hook up our filler next. So I'm going to let him deal with that. I'm going to get the upper radiator hose on. We have to hook up transmission lines. That's going to be a bit of a booger. Also, I can get a belt on. Our 3-bolt death fan has been attached. Whole cooling system. Boom. Steve got our fuel tank hooked up. Boom, filler neck, and cool flip down gas cap. That's how you know you're a badass. This could make or break us. Transmission lines. And Fords are weird. They're not just like a flare fitting. They have like this, I don't know, some other kind of flare and a female fitting on a pipe. I don't know. This is going to take a little finagling, and I'll inform you of it whenever I find a solution or when I don't. We have one of these things with the goofy female fitting thing on it, right? We had a piece of pipe laying around with a flare on it. Boom, that one's handled. We are missing the other goofy female coupler, so we're going to adapt it to using this, which adapts from pipe thread to a 45-degree inverted flare, and then use a 45-degree inverted flare tube nut on a 5/16 line, and boom, that'll get us the other transmission line. We have to put some adapters into the General So radiator here. Flare fittings on there. I got fittings in the transmission. I'll show you those in a minute. It's super ghetto under there. We're going to have a lot of rubber hose and a lot of fire if things go wrong, so stay tuned. There we go. Look at this cluster. Yeah, see? It's got at least a piece of paper's clearance between the floor pan, which means it's good. And then we just snake around the header here, and that'll be totally fine. Transmission fluid loves to be boiled. And then we're just going to go under the starter, over the cross member, wind around the steering linkage, and go to the radiator. Easy. There we go.
Do the exhaust before we break it in.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
We can work on exhaust next. I didn't think about that you have, like, when I'm at home, I just,
Yeah.
do whatever I want and take nobody else's feelings into consideration. There's, 6 feet of rubber hose. You see it in here. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's glorious.
Yeah, then don't do that. Don't do that. Because transmission fluid is flammable. We're just going to zip tie it up to make sure it doesn't rub through on things and create the inevitable bloodbath, and then Dalton burns to death, and then it's like a 3 million view video, though. But also, I die. I gotta make sure to clean off this speedometer cable here and get this installed. That way we can not know how fast we're going. We're winding down for the night, and exhaust work is gonna take longer than we have. It's dark outside, and not the best time to run the car with open headers. I am going to try to use time productively and replace one U-joint and ignore the other one. The yoke side of this feels fine. This side does not, so we're going to... You see how crunchy and stiff that is? There's probably a broken needle bearing in there, and we should at least replace him. Grease up the other side, and it'll be okay. But if I can get the drive shaft installed in the car, then we are really, really close to at least having it run. And if we could just have one whole day to work on brakes after we get all this done, I think we'd be in okay shape. Grease probably would have been fine. See how stiff this is now? Doesn't want to move. You can relieve your drive shaft. Couple whacks right on the ears. Relieves the stress off the U-joint. Keeps your U-joint alive a little longer. Put our E-clips in. Count them, one new U-joint. And that's the only one it's getting. Alright, our new seal is happier with this drive shaft. Let's see if I can get it in there. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. I think whoever put the old seal in there put it in wrong or something. Obviously, I did it better because I'm a genius. Oh, hey, we got a big problem.
What's that?
The pinion nut is missing. Oh, good. That's yeah, it's not there. There's supposed to be a nut in the middle of that. A pretty substantial one at that. That's a problem I'm glad we noticed now. Shit. I got a pinion nut coming tomorrow. So, kind of stuck there. No drive shaft going in tonight. But what we can do is get the wheels off, assess our brake situation, which I've been ignoring. I don't know, maybe we could at least like put the front shocks in it or something, just make a little bit more progress. I don't know. Let's see what we can do in like an hour. Hey, I was going to use those. Disc brakes. Everything is brand new in here. Spring, control arm, ball joints. I don't think the tie rods have even been tightened. There's no cotter keys in them. I forgot that I needed to like hook the gas tank up to the engine. That's important. I figured I'd check the rear diff lube, and it's dry. So we're gonna fill it up. I think it's just an open diff. So we can just put some regular 80/90 in there. Yes. Drink my puny little 8-inch.
See how this is gonna work? Oh yeah, when you're
What are you doing?
the other way around. Never mind.
What?
Just test fitting these exhaust, custom exhaust.
Oh, well, better look at that. That's more important than this.
Or not. With all these sound effects coming from behind you.
I took a whole quart, but it wasn't totally empty.
And then we can just put a length off of this thing.
Hell yeah. That's... yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Kinda. The temporary list is nearly dealt with. The tomorrow list. We'll just start all over. Exhaust, crank, not meth. Push button. Yeah, pinion nut, that's missing. Fill coolant. Brakes. Gotta figure out how to put them together. Everything's missing. What else? Seats. Or seat. Singular. I mean, we're actually closer than I thought. We're close, but also very far. Alignment. See what we can do tomorrow. Today's video is brought to you by AG1. You guys have heard me talk about AG1 a lot, and that's for good reason. I routinely take AG1, and I'm out in the shop now, and I gotta get back to work. I get asked a lot, how do you have so much energy to do all these projects and road trips and everything else? A big part of that is AG1. Because of the probiotics in it, the functional mushrooms, the antioxidants you need every day, I have the energy to restore a car or take a 12-day road trip across the country. I can get it done. Not only that, it's great for your gut, the probiotics in it, of course. Also, it supports your immune system with the antioxidants and, again, the probiotics. Every week in November, AG1 is doing a Black Friday offer. With your first subscription, you're going to get a free gift along with your welcome pack and a year supply of vitamin D3 and K2. So you scan this QR code or click the link in the description and that'll take you right there. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to the road trip, and I gotta get back to work. We've returned this morning for more work, and I'm gonna go ahead and torque this pinion nut to spec. It's very important you get an exact measurement on it, and it's good. Perfect. Alright, get the drive shaft in. Well, we have a drive shaft, and as you can see, the car has not even moved, and there's already a small puddle of gear lube under it. I'm gonna guess that's why the nut was missing, is the seal is bad, or I ruined it while torquing it down. Either way, also, you see that? That's not great. We need a way to crank and start the car. We were playing around with the wiring last night, and it's not great. The engine compartment wiring is all intact. Oh, this is a real mess in here. And on the back of the ignition switch, like every single wire has been butt connected together. What I was noticing is when you turned it to the on position, it cranked, and it's sending power to all the wrong places. It's a mess, man. That said, it is getting cabin power because the wipers were working, the headlights work, you know, stuff like that. The only things that were kind of screwy was the crank and ignition, possibly related to the alarm system that this car once had. Now what we're going to do for now is just run a push button to the S terminal of the starter solenoid here. That's going to crank the engine, and then we're just going to find a keyed and cranking 12-volt source to run to the coil on the distributor, and we'll be good to go. It's as simple as that. 2 wires runs the whole car, more or less. This wire is supposed to be the resistor bypass wire, and it has keyed and cranked 12 volts for some reason. It's not supposed to, but we can use that as our ignition power. I, of course, just have a push button laying on the floor, and that's perfect. I'll zip tie it up into the dash, and that way we don't chop up too much stuff. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to commit to this butchery yet. We're going to keep trying to assemble some brakes and exhaust. We're just kind of tag teaming the thing, seeing where we get to. These wheel bearings feel really good and tight, but we should at least just maybe take a peek under the cap. Yep, looks like brand new red grease in there, and they feel just fine, so it's one less thing I gotta do. Steve has to butt weld this glass pack to that piece of pipe I got at O'Reilly, and that's because this whole thing's a cobbled together mess under here. We'll clamp the rest of it together probably. Exhaust is kind of a necessity when you're breaking in an engine so you can actually hear what it's doing, because if we hear something tapping away like a lifter grinding itself into a cam lobe, we're gonna stop, and it's hard to hear that stuff when it's open headers. I am cleaning out holes in caliper brackets and chasing threads, getting them ready to bolt the brakes on. That looks gorgeous. I could beat something with that. I don't even think it'd break. So we got to get one more crappy glass pack, some brake parts. It will run today. I swear to God, it better run today. So these are 68 to early 70s like small and mid-sized Ford car brakes.
It clips in like that.
A better idea from Ford. I had to watch Steve do this so I could know how to do that side. I have no clue. Inner pad is almost like a convertible style pad, but it's not. This guy gets pinned together here. I act like I knew this. I didn't until about 5 minutes ago. I went on a parts run to get stuff, and Steve's popped off the rear brakes. They're brand new inside, so that's a positive. Steve talked me into running at least a little bit of hard line for a fuel line, I guess. I mean, I was really looking forward to the Inferno. It's cold at home. You'll have to pardon some of the scatterbrainedness around this whole project, but we were kind of working on everything all at once. Now we're going to go ahead and wrap up the exhaust and hopefully get the car fired up pretty shortly. Don't worry about that. It's fine.
Car's just not house trained yet.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to get worse while we drive it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Bingo.
How about that?
As you can see, we got a real fancy dual exhaust system going on here. Homemade adapters welded to this MagnaFlow they had, and one thrush. I think you probably have to pay a lot of money for a car that'll sound like this. It's the Pop and Crackle tune. And somehow, by accident, they're almost exactly the same length. And I don't know how that worked out, but I'll take it. There's a guitar pick under the back seat. And poop.
Oh.
We'll probably leave this out and vacuum that up. I'm going to pull the rear seat belt bolts out of here, and they line up like perfect underneath to put exhaust hangers on. I can just shoot them up backwards through the bottom of the car. You know what time it is?
Poop patrol.
There you go. Enjoy.
Oh, I sure do.
Holy crap.
50, 60 cents in unidentified metal objects.
Weird.
I even get to keep my wages.
Boom. Bolts right there. Hangs everything up. Now we're going to fill the float bowls here, and we are about ready to light this thing off. And by fill, I mean I'm just going to throw a little bit of gas at it. I just want it to suck gas up fairly quickly. More timing. Give it lots of timing. Big changes. For those watching at home, if your engine sounds like Jiffy Pop, maybe shut it down and inspect it first. Or be like me and ignore it.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's moving. Air bubble. When breaking in a flat tappet cam, you don't have a lot of choice but just to watch and wait. You might as well top off the transmission and do some other necessary things while you're waiting.
The header's blowing.
sounds great. I think the motor's fine. It seems like cam broke in, it's happy, it didn't overheat, didn't do anything weird. However, when I brought it back down to idle, there's some clunking going on in there. And it sounds an awful lot like a torque converter that's not attached to the flex plate. Again, one of these things probably should have looked at first. But hey, the engine sounds great. So, got that going for us. Once that cools off, I'm gonna have to see if that's what's going on in there. I'm pretty sure it sucked down the pan, the fluid in the pan. It may not be that. Oh look.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
the alternator. I can't tell if it's from the front or the back. Could be the alternator. It could be the
flex pipe.
the flex pipe pad itself. Yeah.
That's a big victory. It runs. It runs pretty good. Right on. There is a torque converter in it. Bad news. The torque converter has no nuts on it. That's the noise.
Okay.
But
as long as there's no damage.
it's seated and everything. We just need nuts. That's cool. It's a stud type on the converter, so it's either in or out. Oh, yes. More motivation. I think that'll fit fairly well. We may need the air shocks, but we'll see.
They're new springs, though.
That's true.
So it may not
should be perky. We are putting a disc brake proportioning valve on the car up here. I've got the rear brake lines hooked up, left front line hooked up. I got to get the right front line hooked up. Got to make a new one all the way over for it, and change the master cylinder. The old master cylinder was pretty crummy inside. As you can see there. Yeah, and also I did put torque converter nuts on it. You need those. It's not that bad. Just doing brake lines. So this is boring. We are back this morning on the Mustang. Hopefully it will be driving today, or we'll figure out the transmission is bad. One or the other. Recap. Car has disc brakes. Car did not come with disc brakes. Car came with drum brakes. All new lines on it. And thankfully, the correct proportioning valve was included with the car, which is very handy. What we need to do now, this morning, is bench bleed the master cylinder, which we will do on the car, not on a bench. Then bleed the brakes. See if we can get them to function. That would be nice. Then at that point, I think we can place it on the ground, hook up the shock braces, the body braces, whatnot. Make sure we're charging and and time it and stuff like that. But we know it runs. Let's get the brakes sorted. We need those to drive. I'm gonna fill both reservoirs of the master cylinder about halfway, and then I'm gonna go sit on the floor of the car and slowly depress the brake pedal. And if you watch the reservoir, you'll see bubbles come out. We're getting all the air out of the cylinder in the master cylinder. We were bench bleeding that master cylinder, and Rick shows up from the Travis B on YouTube. It's your son, but you're in the videos.
Yeah.
You were at the Glendale swap meet this morning.
I was at the Glendale swap meet, yeah.
And you found a pair of seats for a 68 Mustang.
Actually did find a pair of seats, yes.
Yeah, for $150 with tracks. We don't have to drill holes in my floor now. I'm happy about that.
Oh, look at the exhaust, man.
That's custom. You notice I got the dual mufflers. They're different from each other.
Well, that pinion shield's leaking pretty good.
I know.
Are you sure you don't want to put that in there before you go?
I probably should. It's pretty bad.
And it's gonna sling all the way home. There, out of all the smells on a car, I literally cannot stand the smell of gear oil.
Oh no.
I never have been able to stand it. Don't like it.
Oh, Rick abandoned us to this. So let's bleed some brakes.
Yep.
Steve's on fluid patrol. And when you bleed brakes, you always start at the furthest corner away, which is the right rear. Do the rears first, and then the furthest front away, and the other front. And then we find all the things I forgot to tighten. Leaking around the bleeder, but not through this hose. What happens if I take this off? Stop them a couple of times. I wonder if this bleeder's plugged or something? Yeah, this bleeder's plugged solid. It won't flow anything. So we're going to take some wire, clean it out. Probably the other one too. There you go. I'm open.
Yeah.
Open.
Yeah.
Not getting a ton of flow. I've had very poor flow back here, and here's why. Go ahead, hit the brakes, Jess. You might notice that both rear brake lines are disconnected, and nothing is coming out of them. And that's because that rubber hose is likely collapsed. Fluid comes out of it on the car side of it. It doesn't look that bad, but I was trying to deny reality, and it bit me in the face. We can get a brake hose, but it won't be here until this afternoon, and that's not ideal on our time frame. I'm going to try to flush this thing, but you can see that I put brake clean in. Ain't nothing coming out of there. It's stuck.
Do the wrong thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're not supposed to do this. So I don't think the hose itself is bad, because we did have fluid back there, and then we didn't. Typically, if the hose is bad, it's just not going to work.
Just shove some dirt through the line.
Well, like all that dirt we saw on the bleeders.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. Plug one side of this. Give us some air. Blow it backwards. Oh, there it went. Yeah, that's just dirt. It's not...
Just gunk.
Yeah, it's not that the hose is collapsed, it's just gunk. Oh, and Rick talked me into replacing the pinion seal, I guess. I was outvoted 2-1 at that point, so I had no choice. Now that this is fixed forever, we will just ignore it. Pump them up. Oh yeah, we can see the brake drum moving now. Oh yeah, we got brakes. We have a really spongy pedal, and I can't really figure out why. I've triple checked all the lines, everything's cool, except for this. Does that brake bleeder look correct to you? Looks correct to me, but it's not. Brake bleeder, oddly enough, actually supposed to face down. This is the back of a left-hand caliper, and if you mirror it to here, you can see that we have the calipers on the wrong sides. So we put them on where they look like they should go, not where they should go. Well, we reoriented the front calipers, and that did seem to help. The brakes aren't great, but they are brakes. I mean, it's going to stop the car. They're a sponge, but they don't pump up, which would indicate there's no air in the system, or at least not a lot of it. I don't know. That's as good as it gets. I guess I'll put a pinion seal in it against my better judgment, and then we can put wheels and tires on it, put it on the ground, try to square up the front end of it, and then see if it drives. Before I put the pinion seal in, I'm putting my front wheels on, because this is the most important thing. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, the US Indy Mag key to your Mustang. I don't even care about the smashed up fender when I'm looking at that.
Nope.
Ah, yes. The rotors will clean themselves. But, yes. After I was done playing dress up with the wheels, it was time to change the pinion seal. The aforementioned bad seal that both Rick and Steve forced me at gunpoint to change. New pinion seal installed. I set the pinion preload to the correct setting of yes, and we're good to go. All 4 wheels and tires on. Let's throw the seats in the thing, and we're going to start it up, check the transmission in the air, see if it's working. Fits just like it's supposed to in there. Let's bolt her up. Seats are installed poorly. The driver's seat's really good, and the passenger seat has 1 bolt holding it on because I snapped off all the studs. We were getting ready to fire it up, then realized that it doesn't have a timing pointer. And Steve, of course, had one just like he usually has everything. There we go. We thought we were being smart by putting a timing pointer on the engine, but it turns out neither the pointer, nor the balancer, nor the timing cover, nor the water pump match, so we had no way to actually time it, and I ended up timing it by ear regardless. I lock the distributor down. Let's fire it back up. Put it in gear. Well, check the fluid. Put it in gear. See what happens. Just sitting here happy as hell idling. Oh yeah. We got gears. Kinda. Oh yeah. It's working. We got brakes. Did it stop? Yep. Other side too?
Yeah, nothing spinning. Yeah, you're good.
One other thing I'd like to do real quick is put a meter on it and see if we're charging. No charging at all. It was an exceptionally complex diagnosis, let me tell you. I wiggled the plug around on the regulator and Now it's got 13.6 volts. Oh, 13.8, sorry. One last thing before we drop it on the ground, I'm gonna just change the oil and filter again real quick because it's a brand new engine. You really, I mean, you change it like 500 miles typically. I'm not gonna have that luxury, so let's just get whatever debris or assembly lube that could be in there out of there now, and that's about the best we can do for it. All that glitters is not gold, and thankfully this doesn't glitter at all. It's pretty good. It's not gonna rub.
Yeah, as long as the front end settles down a little bit, it'll look fine.
Yeah, it's not that bad. And it should settle down. Now we just got to get this disaster fixed. I don't know how to align these cars terribly well.
And there's an eccentric right here to adjust the camber. You just make them the same on both sides, essentially.
Yep, equal, and then just good enough to hopefully call an alignment shop tomorrow morning. The way I set toe is I want about a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch toe in, and the way you do that is by measuring the identical treads on the tire or whatever. Just pick something that's the same side to side, and I'll measure the same tread on the front. 54 and 5/8, 55 on the nose in the front, so it's actually toed out about 3/8 of an inch. We need to lengthen our tie rods to tow the tires in towards each other. So after that and rolling the car, we were 55 and 1/8 on the back, and now 54 and just under 3/4 on the front. So I need to shorten this one maybe one turn. It should have just it was pretty close. All right, coming back. It's pretty good. That's an eccentric bolt, and what it does is basically this control arm is a big floppy hole here. Turn this, and that eccentric nut pushes the bolt over the hole, shortening, in effect, the lower control arm, and pulling the bottom of the tire in. He's got the bubble level there, and we're just trying to get it to where it's just ticked in a little at the top. How's that, ish?
A lot better than it was.
Okay. God, I hope a shop can get this. The car's so good, actually. It'd be a pretty good drive home. I know you guys want to see me die, but I mean, I kind of like living. Steve and I tinkered on this alignment for about an hour, just trying to get it dialed as best as we could to get it to an alignment shop. It definitely wasn't perfect, but it also wasn't terrible. The front end's close enough to drive, probably. But we don't have a tail light. We only have one socket back here. I just wired it up. We have a brake light, but no tail light. Let me pull some fuses to see if we can get that done. I'd really like to take it for a test drive while it's still light, just in case something goes wrong.
You put this in your glove box. When they get pulled over for the license plate light, you can say, yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
I got one.
Steve found another socket, so we can put that in. Tail lights. Hit the brakes. Brake lights. Turn off the headlights. Brake lights. Hell yeah. I'll be damned. I totally butchered this. This is really bad. Yeah, it's working.
Okay, the other side?
Yeah. Well.
Do I have that much oil? That like one.
I love it.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, Steve.
You guys enjoy it. I was going to a good home.
Yeah, well, it is going to a good home. If it makes it home. Why don't you and me go take this for a spin, see if it falls apart, and we may just come back and get it in the morning. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. I'm not driving this back to the hotel at night in the rain, nonetheless. It's raining back where we're actually staying. We're definitely going to come get this later. However, Motor's happy. You probably can't
Yeah,
even see
I can't even see it.
It's happy. We're just gonna run it up to a gas station here, put some fresh gas in it, and the brakes they're 2 pump chumps. I mean,
Yeah.
they work. They work. That's about it. I'm not a fan of them necessarily. They'll do. It's kind of ballsy, actually. I'm barely on the gas. It's spunky. That is a spunky little 302. Can't see anything. Oh, it's so bad. It drives so bad. But I love it. Oh, it's so sketchy.
It's not that bad from over here in my rocking chair.
I'm like, what? Doesn't do anything. Isn't this perfect though? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You couldn't ask for anything better.
This car sat for 20 years because people needed things to be perfect. Screw that. I'm gonna have fun with it. 13 gallons gas. I'm pretty sure that's a 15-gallon tank. So we were real close. Are we gonna get along?
Almost.
God, I hope so. We're gonna drive back to Steve's place, where we will see you in the morning.
Oh, the sunset's great.
Oh, freaking desert, man! I love it out here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm driving this 30 miles back to where our hotel is.
Our headlights are on.
Yeah, you can't even tell.
No.
Oh my God.
No, not at all.
I need to fix that, maybe. Well, no, we'll fix that by just not driving at night. We don't have to.
Yeah, problem solved. That quick.
Well, thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
And another shop bites the dust. Anyway, really, really appreciate your help. Road Hard Restorations on YouTube. Check him out. We've been discussing YouTube things. He's a kind of a newer, up-and-coming YouTuber. So, check him out. Show him some support. Like actual, legitimate, professional body work. If you want to go a step above what I do, go watch Steve's channel.
Have a safe trip.
Well, safe is a relative term. We've returned to the Mustang. We got to go get a front end alignment. A guy reached out to me who works at an Audi dealership, and apparently we can align it there. I just did a quick nut and bolt check on the back of the car. Got to check fluids, and then we're going to hit the road. Nice. Let's get out of here. First time on the highway in many, many moons. It's not that bad. Oh, shaky though. That's 70 miles an hour. This is pretty good. This is not that bad. It got a little shaky over 70, but that's fine. Front end alignment will take care of that. I could drive this home like this, but I don't want to eat up my brand new tires, Definitely got to clean up that windshield. I can't see nothing. The GoPro's clearer than my eyes. We got 6 more miles to go. It's kind of like that Johnny Cash song. He's got 17 minutes to go. Except for, well, actually, it's about the same, yeah. Probably going to result in my death. All you gotta do is just turn the key to the run position and push the push button.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's easy.
It's easy. This is a unusual sight for this Audi dealership, I think. Big thanks to Arrowhead Audi. One of these things is not like the other. Yeah, so what you're saying is my alignment is spot on.
Camber's even. Caster's fine. It's literally just toe.
James is the one that reached out to me offering help. And thankfully his manager was super cool and let him put the car up on the rack. He got this thing dialed in straight in no time flat, and we were on our way. Well, it should drive a little better now. Let's go to Lowe's and try to get a back window made. It snowed in Flagstaff yesterday, and we got to go through there today. So it's going to be cold. I'm going to want that back window. Big thanks to James for helping us out with this. That's going to make a big difference. We weren't that far off, but just the peace of mind is worth it, you know? Oh yeah, it drives pretty good now. Hell yeah. The steering's kind of sloppy because the power steering's not hooked up, so there's no hydraulic cushion in the control valve. But I can live with it. It's actually a pretty good car. I like it. It's doing highway speeds without much trouble. I mean, I'm leaving plenty of room in front of me because the brakes are kind of Ah, yes. The Auto Glass store. Who knew that it had a 68 Mustang back window in stock? I mean, really. Lowe's. Come on. I'm not very good at this, but we'll try. Yeah, that looks like it. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I'm getting a little off track. Oh, God. Your turn. Yep. One side. Kind of. As you can see, it's an exact fit.
Don't worry about that part.
It's good tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna work for sure. No doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll hold. I've seen crackheads drive around with worse. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but hopefully just a couple of days at least. Well, we topped off the car. Ready to rock and roll. Let's try to make Holbrook, Arizona today. That's a pretty easy target to hit, and it'll get us through Flagstaff where there is potential for snow. Well, it's an escape from Phoenix. We're just about out of it. Feels good, temp's good, oil pressure's good. Car's wandery, but not that bad. Drives pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, you drive a car like this, it just feels special. That's because it's not just a car. I mean, it's a Mustang. The back window does really good. It's way nicer in here. Maybe I won't freeze to death. Ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. We are climbing towards Flagstaff. We got 100 miles of this. Oh boy, big hill. I hope these brakes work. That would be cool. Wow. I think I hear a little bit of rear end noise. A little whine or something back there under a load. Probably best to just ignore it. I smell a lot of brake, but it ain't me going down this hill. It's one of them big boys up there. Starting to get a little chilly. We're about 30 miles outside of Flagstaff, which means we've covered about 80 miles so far. Everything's pretty good. I don't know. I hear 1,000 exhaust leaks in it, which I keep thinking are lifters, but it's got good oil pressure. I think it's just my custom exhaust. Behold, we have trees. I managed to put my new coat on. It's cold up here. I cannot get this damn window all the way up. So the regulator's falling apart. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Well, it's not quite all the way, but I'll take what I can get. Probably need a little bit of ventilation or I'll suffocate to death. Man, it feels so good to drive this thing. I've missed my 67 since I sold it. My dad had a 67 when I was a kid. It was flamed, and I cannot for the life of me track down that car. I've tried everything, including that Lost Muscle Cars page on Facebook. I guess if you know where it is, let me know, but in the meantime, this guy will have to do, and I think it's going to do just fine. This is a keeper for sure. I mean, come on, Steve McQueen drove a 68 Mustang. It doesn't get much cooler than that. I don't think there's a lot of my exhaust left. Well, the back window's good. I'm gonna check the transmission fluid real quick and make sure that's not the whine we've been hearing. Trans fluid looks good. I don't know. It's probably fine. The car is getting a whopping 10 miles to the gallon. I heard something go clunk when I got on it,
Yeah.
and I have those wheels in the back for real.
Oh, God.
It's like, oh God, what did I? Oh, I broke it. This is Two Guns, Arizona, remnants of a filling station, and also a strange wildlife refuge down there. There's a really crazy story about it in the Apache Death Cave. Kind of went over that when we went to Duct Tape Drags last year, the Holy Goat. We went exploring around here, and also went into the cave. The Death Cave. I don't think we'll be going in the Death Cave.
No.
That'd be a bad idea. It's just us.
No.
No reason to stop here at all, just to see it. It's very cold.
It's, yeah. Yep.
Doesn't feel like Arizona. It's actually warmer at home right now. I always try to stop at the abandoned places and things like that. We'll be doing some of that on 66 tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a little warmer. Let's go find a hotel, crash for the night, get a good night's rest. Pretty cool to have the Mustang out on 66 getting its kicks after sitting for 20 years. This is why perfection is the enemy of good enough. To our hotel, and in one piece. The hood's up because something sprayed onto the window of this. Don't know what it is. Everything looks pretty well accounted for. You got a header bolt backed out here. I'll fix that tomorrow when it's not hot. Did good. Did really good. That was over 200 and some odd miles today. Not bad. It's cold.
Yes.
I have no heat. This is gonna suck. I'm gonna tighten up those headers. Also got a pair of wiper blades. I guess it's raining like crazy in Missouri, which is where we're going. We won't be there today, but we might run into some rain, and the wipers do work, so that would be nice to have. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit every one of these bolts again. I'll snug them up, throw some wiper blades on it, and then we'll be on the road. Yeah, this is pretty hardcore stuff here. You probably don't see a whole lot of legitimate certified professionals like me changing wiper blades out in the field. It's a hard life. Whew. I need a break. I'm gonna go take a nap. Belt still tight. Full. There they go. Oh God. Is that really all it's got?
Oh, boy.
Okay, well, let's try to avoid the rain. I gotta get some gas, so let's get her fired up. No choke, and it's a carburetor, and it's well below 40 degrees, I'd say. No choke, remember that. Wow, I need fuel injection. Ooh. I can't wait 30 seconds. I need to spend thousands of dollars instead. If this had the choke set right, it would have fired immediately. But, you know, it did take about 3 seconds to start, so it's pretty much junk. That's actually not bad. That's almost 20 miles to the gallon. About 18 at 80 miles an hour, 75, 80. We won almost 120 miles. I guess it's more like 18 miles to the gallon, but still. Woo, it's cold in here. Off into the wastelands we go. Me and my trusty steed, the Mustang. Another horizon down on the way home. I love the scenery out here. It's like my favorite area to drive in, hands down. Just the Southwest. Mountains are good too. I don't know, it's a toss-up, but I just like it out here. I like the barrenness, you know, it speaks to me or something. And speaking of speaking to me, this little Mustang's got something to prove, I think. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but this is a good little car. And I think it's just like, you know, sometimes when you get a car, you can feel it talk to you. And I've got a few like that. Not all of them are like that. But there's a movie I saw when I was a kid. It's The Brave Little Toaster. There's a scene in that movie where these cars are in the junkyard and they're all getting squashed and they're talking about their story, you know. And ever since then, I've had this strange addiction to automobiles and having to save them. And this one, I mean, this one wasn't headed to the crusher by any means, but it was a ways off from being able to see the road. I think this Mustang is just happy to be out doing Mustang things again, you know? I mean, it's happy to be a car again. You know, it's being used for transportation. Some cars are out to kill you, but not this one. Now, it is a Mustang. It might be out to kill crowds of people, but hey, there's nothing I can do about that. It's in its genetics. And we're here in Gallup, New Mexico. I think we went 110 miles. So that's 20-ish miles to the gallon again. Damn good little Mustang. And we're doing 75, 80 miles an hour. What a car, man. We're at 66 through Gallup, New Mexico. It's probably one of the better little stretches here. A lot of stuff here, and a lot of stuff is still open, you know. It's not dead here necessarily. Well, we're cruising along the Mother Road now. Route 66. It's just the kind of place this car would have been driving on. That always, I don't know, I always wonder, you know, I mean, did this car drive this route heading east to go visit family or something? That interstate over there wouldn't have been here in 1968. It just didn't exist. I'm not like intimately familiar with 66, like the whole stretch or anything. I've seen bits and pieces and driven quite a bit of it, but I always look for new stuff. You never know. I mean, cool old abandoned buildings or occupied ones even, and you'll find the best cafes and stuff, you know, on the towns that interstate bypassed and killed. Yep, this is pretty awesome. Best job in the world. Driving a classic Mustang on Route 66. Yeah, I'll take that. This looks cool. I wonder what this stuff was. Well, that's encouraging. Wow. Oh, I think it was a diner. It was one of the old booth seats. Yeah, what a waste. Oh yeah, there's one that's still in pretty good shape. If you could tell that those were like diamond windows, though, it would have been really cool. I love stuff like this. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. This is cool. Trading post. What the? The horn works. Hey, look what I discovered. Honk, honk. Well, we went about, 120-ish miles on that tank. I'm sure it doesn't need gas, but I probably ought to, like, look at the thing. I've just kind of ignored it all day. Yeah, be kidding me. That's another 20 mile per gallon trip. This car is really good on gas. Yeah. Yeah, it's coming out. Son of a bitch. Oil looks good. Yeah, I don't know. Just need to kind of look under here and make sure nothing's falling off. I see no leaks. Well, a little bit of valve. No, intake leak. It's on the China wall there. That's my fuel line grommet holding up. It's just fine. Header bolts are still in it. That's a good sign. I think I'll go ahead and tighten up the lug nuts. Just hit them with the impact again, just to be safe. You are a surprising little automobile. Got some drinks, emptied the bladder, and we are gonna get through Albuquerque before rush hour. What a pile. Well, we made it out of Albuquerque. We're north of there a ways. Got about 130 more miles to Tucumcari. I'm just running 80 miles an hour like I'm just driving along in my brand new 68 Mustang. I'm seeing a lot of snow on the ground up here. That's got me kind of weirded out. Kind of makes me want to get a little closer to home. I just see some white smoke puffing out of this thing and some dots of liquid. We got a little something built up here. Rear end's leaking a little bit. It wouldn't be clear though. Oh yeah, look, it's all splashed up in here. Yeah, that's probably what it is. And if that's the case, that's not very much. I think it's probably okay. Probably the front of the third member there, it's leaking. That would be sprayed up. That's what it is. I'm freezing to death in that car, so yeah.
Show them your new soffies.
It's a nice fuzzy socks. I'm so cold. Tacky ass travel stops are always good for supplies. Wandered around looking like a homeless guy. Gotta get to my Mustang. I'm not sure how much of this I can really take. Oh gosh, that's so much better. I am warm. Back to the highway we go. I've got to find a warm bed and a warm meal soon. It hasn't been over 50 degrees this entire day. Very, very chilly in this car with windows that don't seal and no heat. I could have hooked up the heat, I guess, but I don't know. It just seemed like one more thing to go wrong, you know? Tucumcari, which is a really neat little town to check out if you ever get the chance. We're gonna stop here at the La Quinta. JD and I actually stayed at that Desert Inn when we drove the Holy Goat to Texas for its Texas reunion a couple years ago. Check that video out if you haven't. Somehow I think my exhaust is rattling. That's not possible. I did a good job on that. Covered about 410 miles today, which is not a lot, but it is a lot for a car that just sat for 20 years. We are gonna go find some grub. Yeah, hot tub. Hot tub be good. Yes. These will keep my feet warm. Warmer. Be off for another day of hell. Yes. There's freaking snow moving in here. We need to get the hell out of here. We would have stayed in Albuquerque, we would have got hit. I'm putting on 2 coats. It is cold out here. I'm gonna freeze, man. 10 hours to home. I mean, come on, guys did it on horseback and buggy, right? Just gotta grow a pair. Let's give her a quick once over. Oil's good. Belt's so tight. Yeah. Coolant. It's good. I think we're fine. My seat broke. One of the studs in the front snapped. I got 1 stud left, but I'm afraid to tighten it, because what if it snaps off? Then I won't be able to sit in the car. I should just find something to wedge under the seat, like my jacket. It's just that easy. I don't understand the need for fuel injection on old cars, but what do I know? Maybe I could prop the seat up on that. It's better. At least it doesn't rock around as much. Get all bundled up here. There we go. Got my blankie. Gotta make sure it doesn't rub on the steering wheel too much. Anyway, with the weather turning to shit like it is, I think we got to get home quicker. I wanted to run Route 66 a ways, but it's probably a little too risky when you're out in something like this car. Not to mention the Tahoe is actually 2-wheel drive also. So if it were to like dump snow, we would actually be in a bad spot. Just crossed into Texas. Now we're back at Central Time, which means we've lost an hour. That makes it almost 10:30. This might be a late night for me. We may not make it all the way home today. I just don't want to drive this thing at night. When's the last time you actually set a watch? I started wearing a wristwatch again. I was an electrician for a long time. You know, wearing metallic objects on your wrists is kind of a no-no. But I'm happy to be wearing my Timex again. You know, I'm really kind of a high roller. This road is killing me. I mean, I'm going a little bit fast. You know, I'm doing probably 75. And it's so rutted up from the big trucks. I mean, even though the car has an alignment, it still wants to grab those truck ruts and just throws it all over the place. That sucks. This is what I remember about 54 in New Mexico and Texas. I think it gets better in Kansas. They make their roads out of concrete there. They don't get all rutted up. Man, oh man, I remember this being a rough drive in the Holy Goat a couple of years ago when JD and I were out here. And man, every time a semi-truck passes me in the left over there, it's just, it like sucks the car over into that oncoming lane. It's not just me. I mean, Jess is doing the same thing in the Tahoe back there. Yeah, here comes a big Kenworth. Watch my hands. Every time I gotta tick it back to the right. Now I gotta pass 3 semi-trucks. God. Got pulled over. It done rolled down this side. You want me to get out? Sorry, I'm kind of bundled up in here.
That's alright. Hey, I'm Chief Major 601 Police Department. I'm kind of wondering, where's your tag at?
I just bought the car in Phoenix. I'm heading home to Kansas City. The title's actually in my girlfriend's. She's got her right there in that Tahoe.
Okay.
It's insured through Haggerty.
Do you have that in there also? You have insurance and all that good stuff?
I think I got it on an email.
Have you gotten pulled over for this before? I mean, as you was driving it up here?
No.
For no tag?
No.
That's surprising.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to put one on it if it wasn't registered to the car, you know.
Yeah, but it's not legally, you know, you need a trailer to do this. You're not supposed to be driving it down the, the highway or anything without a tag on it.
Missouri, at least, where I live, at 30 days to license a vehicle, as long as you have insurance and proof of purchase.
If you need gas, whatever, go ahead and do it. I'm just gonna look at it.
Okay, man. Thankfully, this cop was pretty cool, and he didn't give me any trouble. Of course, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but, you know, he didn't hassle us or hold us up for too long, and just did his job. Got this one a little close. Didn't get quite as good mileage that time. Must be driving into a headwind. At 11.5 gallons. Yikes. I could be wrong. But that looks like rain out there. I hope I'm wrong. I do believe we are technically in Oklahoma now, which is kind of cool. Well, we just hit Kansas. So anyway, let's go ahead and just fast forward home now. And well, I guess we won't do that. You never know what might happen. Yeah, this is like my least favorite part of this drive, is to go all the way across Kansas. We're still, I don't know, 6 hours of change from home. And if I have to run in the dark for too long, I really would rather not. We'll see how far we get. Well, it is starting to warm up a bit at least. It's like 55 right now. We're in Liberal, Kansas, or just got out of Liberal, Kansas. I was able to take my hat off. Maybe if I get lucky, I can take the blanket off, or maybe one of my coats too. Bundling complete. Top off with some gas here in Meade, Kansas. Grab some food at a Choke and Puke, and then hit the road again. The Mustang is continuing to impress. Let's go to Bob's Drive-In. Choke down a sandwich. That was pretty good eating.
Oh yeah.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, the homemade fries were awesome.
I think it's the only restaurant in the whole town, so I guess if you're going through Meade, Kansas. You know. Damn if it isn't warm enough to roll the window down. You guys see this? This is Kansas. Can we all agree to just kind of skip over some of this? I haven't seen a Casey's in like 2 weeks. We're gonna go like another hour and a half, stop for the night before the sun goes down. I like to take it easy when I'm driving. I'm not big on like cannonballing places. I mean, I'll do it. I've done it plenty, but I've done it plenty, you know what I mean? And here's more Kansas, but on the inside of the car. Well, actually, things are about to go wrong. Well, that sun is catching up to us quick. The days are shorter this time of year, no doubt. Anyway, we are nearly to the hotel. Hotel, and this just died right here. I wonder if the alternator went out or something. I've had the headlights on the last little bit here. Shit. The voltage regulator is very warm. Yeah, I think it quit charging. I never hooked up the volt gauge. Probably should have done that. It almost made it. Yeah. Good thing we have a chase vehicle. We'll send Jess after a voltage regulator, a battery, and an alternator. Well, I guess I'll go check in. Well, we got a new battery to throw in it. I'll probably just change the voltage regulator and hope that was the problem. I think that brand new battery you picked up will drive us home tomorrow. If we really had to. These cars take very, very little voltage to run. Looks like an original to me. Or at least very, very old. No. It's not that. It must be the alternator. Alternator's bad. The grounding lug on the back of it is loose. It's like it's pulled out of the brush. Looks like AutoZone has one here. I didn't know there was an AutoZone in Newton, Kansas. I've been here before. Get an alternator, throw one at it, and see what that does.
You know, for better light.
So now when I fire it up, I won't wake up everybody.
Yeah, sure, that's why.
Look at that. He's broken. That's what it is. Clocking of this one's a little bit different. Hopefully that doesn't screw us, but otherwise everything seems to attach more or less the same. It went on like that on the other one. It's backwards now. Oh, no charge. Yeah, it's charging. it's regulated, so when it has full voltage, it's not gonna charge until I put a load on it. It's working. It didn't charge at all before we changed the alternator. Who knows? I know one thing, this car needs a wiring harness front to back, and that's what needs to happen. Will this charge good enough for us to drive less than 200 miles home? I think it probably will. Just in case it won't, we definitely will not be charging a battery inside of this Holiday Inn.
No.
I tell you that for a fact. The dash lights work now.
Well, how about that?
Those are my favorite lights. The 60s Fords are that green color.
Yeah.
My favorite. Yep, definitely not doing this. Well, let's see what happens today. See, the windows frosted up pretty good. Wipers are working good today. Away we go for a hopefully painless last trip here. Runs better with a charged battery. Imagine that. Oh man, I can see my breath today. Oh boy. I got a little gas, and let me tell you, I am ready to get home. So let's put the hammer down. Yeah, it's funny. I think it was somewhere right around here. About 5 years ago, I bought a 67 Mustang, and I was driving it home. It was a little closer to Wichita than here, and I'm driving along, and it just out and dies, right? I get out, pop the hood, and the whole carburetor's loose. I mean, like everything backed off, and it was just sitting on it. I had a ride out there, right? So I had some tools in the trunk of the car I rode out there in. I walk up to the car that I rode out there in, right? And I pop the trunk, and I'm rummaging around in it. Well, little did I know, a Kansas highway patrolman had stopped behind my Mustang and was yelling at me. Now, I'm like mostly deaf. I worked in a factory for a long time, and I just can't hear very good. And not to mention you're by the highway and stuff, I didn't know he was yelling at me. So here's this cop, he's yelling at me, and I'm rummaging around in the trunk of a car, and I turn around and he's got his pistol drawn on me. And I said, what the hell is this? He's just screaming commands at me. I dropped the ratchet I had in my hands, and I said, the car died. He said, well, you got to get this thing off the road now. I said, all right, well, you got to let me fix it. So that was the only time I've ever had a gun drawn on me by the cops. Then we drove about 20 more miles, and the right front tire was low. I stopped at a truck stop and used their air machine to put air in the tire, and it had a set of those gray spoke ET mags on it. I touched the chuck to the valve stem, and the valve stem went whoop and shot into the tire. So I had to call Dad to come get me. That was an interesting night. Anyway, we're like an hour and a half from home. Well, we made it back to Missouri, which is feels really good. Oh God, I can't wait to get home. Been on the road for 12 days, I think. Too long this time, but it has been really fun. Make sure you check out the second channel, Outside the Barn. We'll have our vacation footage over there. That's why we were down there anyway. Oh, home at last. Thank God. Man, what a freaking journey. Also, what a damn good little car. This is, I mean, the alternator went bad. Big deal. If you want to see it get built on the channel, please let me know down below. Hey, check out polebarnmerch.com. Here's where I was plugging Hawaiian shirts that are not available for sale yet, but will be soon. So keep an eye out for that. We also have new hoodies available in the store and new tumblers. But I'm really excited about the Hawaiian shirts. You guys are going to love it. I really like this thing. It's a good car. So if you want to see more of the Mustang, make sure to let me know.